Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to talk to an international expert about how to turn storytelling into your strategic advantage. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. So we've all had this experience before. You're at a cocktail party, you're making small talk with people, you're talking to a stranger for 15 minutes. He or she is explaining what they do, and you leave not knowing what they do because they're not doing a good job telling their story. I'm passionate about storytelling, but a man who's even more passionate about it, Chris Westfall. He's a business coach, he's a best-selling author, keynote speaker. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jeff, great to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I want you to share your journey because I'm going to call you almost like an accidental miracle, because you didn't really set out to become a speaker. You made a video that led to a speaking career. Is that correct?
It's true. And I saw for myself personally how storytelling can be a career-defining moment. I found out about a contest, and it was announced on Twitter, if you can believe it. And I saw a tweet about this contest to find the national elevator pitch champion, the person who has the best elevator pitch. And like you were saying, an elevator pitch is a way to introduce yourself to someone or to introduce a product or a service or an idea. And so I recorded a video. I recorded my story, 2 minutes long, and I submitted this video into the contest, and I had to gain votes on social media in this contest. And I came in second place in the contest. And I thought, well, I'm glad I played. I'm glad I shared my story. But the folks that put the contest together, they called me. They contacted me and they said, Chris, second place in the voting, but first place with us. You are the national elevator pitch champion. And that was when everything changed, when I realized the power inside of storytelling. And so many people today are looking for a way to be heard, to share their voice. And I've dedicated my career to helping people to tell their stories in more powerful ways. And it's created some amazing results along the way. More
on Chris and his speaking career in a second, but I want to talk about your latest book. You just released a book. We're going to put it on the screen. And tell us about I love the title. Easier.
Thank you.
The only thing better than 7-minute abs is 6-minute abs. So we love Easier. Okay, tell us about the book.
Well, Easier is a story. It's unlike anything that I've ever written before. It's the story of a client who is frustrated at work, like a lot of people today. And he's thinking of quitting. He's wondering if entrepreneurship is where he belongs or if he just needs to try harder at his job. So he hires a coach, and they begin the conversation that is at the center of the book. But little does he know that in just 5 days, he's going to be fired. So on a Monday morning, over Zoom, he is unceremoniously let go from his company. And from this career death comes a bit of a resurrection story, a life after career death story, if you will, as he finds his way to taking a difficult situation and making it easier. And sometimes people, when they see the title, they think, oh, are you trying to say that life is easy? And that is not what I'm trying to say at all. What I'm trying to say is that no matter what your circumstances, no matter what situation you're in, there's always a way to show up that makes things easier. And when life gets difficult, we don't see that. We don't see that as a possibility, but it's always there. And as the story unfolds inside this book, these men go on a journey to discover not that life is easy, but in the midst of the messes, that there's another way of showing up. There's another way through the difficulties. And that's what Easier is really all about.
So tell us, who needs to read this book? Is it bosses? Is it employees? Is it all of the above?
The folks that are giving me feedback on it are all of the above. It's anyone who is feeling a sense of frustration, frustration with your relationships, frustration with your work life, frustrations with things being out of balance, frustrations inside your family, whatever the case may be. This is a book about, it's not a how-to book. It's a book that allows you to take your own journey and to find your own choices that can make your situation easier, no matter what that situation might be.
Now, I urge my audience to go to his YouTube channel because he is very prolific. He puts up countless videos. I found one. Now, this is a speaker reel from 2014, but I got to tell you, the man looks good. He has not aged in a decade. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
What is it about you that people have not heard before that makes them lean in and say, tell me more? The rules of engagement for a new kind of conversation, a conversation that works whether you tell it socially like this or on social media, a way for you to amplify and accelerate the conversation to create persuasion and influence. But each of you is a brand. There's no opt-out. You are a brand. And so when you are a brand, you have to understand how branding works today. And in order to understand that, I have to tell you a story about how the system was hacked. If it feels like you're pitching somebody, you're doing it wrong. The message is make sure that your story is unexpected, not gimmicky, but unexpected. Because in this age, in the age of the branding conversation, context trumps content.
I just loved him. He was amazing. He was awesome. He was energetic.
Very entertaining.
It's like my best friend talking to me, even though there was like over 100 people in the room.
In business, it's no secret that the stories we tell teach people how to treat us, how to pay us, how to buy from us, how to promote us. Which one of these guys, with their network, their connections, and their experience, would you like to talk to most about helping you to take your business to the next level?
I would like to talk to all of them.
Awesome question. Chris.
What I'd love to do is get some time with you to discuss how we can make that happen for you and your customers. Boom. When's good for you?
Wow, right now. What do you think?
We feel like there's a natural fit in terms of Zappos. And
I think it was the.
I mean, I would love to have
I think
you
it's the
come
elevator
to
for those Chilean miners.
I'd love to have you come to Link and meet 24-Hour Fitness and talk to them about it. That's something you'd be interested in doing.
And so far, none of them have talked about technology whatsoever.
They've been coached. Right? We're the biggest, we're the best. Or we're the biggest in the middle, we're the best. It's important to say that. It's important to say that, don't get me wrong. But your customer goes, wow, I really want personal attention. Wow, maybe I'll call one of your smaller competitors so that they can give me the focus that I need here in Southeast Asia. My grandfather gave me a book, and in the back of the book was a simple inscription, and he had written in there, always do the best you can. Now, in my life, I've had successes and failures, ups and downs, but I've always tried to do the best I can. And the new rules of engagement are about being your best. It's about doing your best for your organization, but understanding how to create messages for the people who matter most to you. The new rules of engagement are about family. It all starts with your story. My name's Chris Westfall, and that is an elevator.
Isn't that the best? I mean, to me, what a high to entertain an audience. And you're so funny. So sometimes the best part of the speech is the unscripted, line that you get from an audience.
That's so true. I live for that. Those are the moments that I live for because, life isn't scripted. And, when you go speak to a group, of course, you have your themes and your ideas and what you want to share. But if I'm doing my job, it's not a presentation. It's a conversation.
Yes.
And the interaction is what makes it and what makes every speech, every conversation different. That's what I love.
I think it's so important now, Chris, because of the quiet quitting movement. I think bosses everywhere are kind of rethinking, how engaged are my employees. Just because they're there in front of a computer doesn't mean that they're actually engaged. So talk about why it's important to kind of reinvigorate the troops?
Well, it's a real crisis of leadership right now because over 70% of employees are thinking of quitting, or they're already in the process of doing so. Maybe they've retired at their desk, or they're in the process of getting the courage to hand in their resignation. And so corporate leaders are looking at trying to redesign the organization, redesign work to create greater engagement. But what if there's a new way of looking at this idea of quiet quitting, a new antidote, if you will, that looks at not the mindset, but the state of mind of the employee? Because everyone wants to participate. Everyone wants to contribute. Everyone wants to find meaning in their job. And if they can't, that can be a real source of frustration. So what we have to look at, I think, as leaders, and I think as a business coach, what I look at is helping people to understand what is the source of frustration? What is the source of burnout? And is it really the organization's design, or is there something more? Is there a state of mind that is impacting and driving people to think that the grass is always greener? And by the way, if people are listening to this and you're in the process of quitting and thinking that the grass is always greener, the thing that I would share is that everywhere you go, there you are. So if you make a change, make sure that you not only change your career, but you make a change internally as well, so that you can step into that new role, or that new identity, whatever it is that's next for you, in a new way. Because if you bring yesterday's strategies and try to create tomorrow's results,
yes,
you need to look at that recipe.
Well, since this segment is all about storytelling, I want to give you a chance to tell some stories. Who are some of your favorite clients over the years?
Well, I had an amazing experience happen to me in the spring. I was sitting in the audience at an event listening to a CEO speak. He'd come over from London, and he is in charge of a FTSE 100 company. This is like the New York Stock Exchange, but for England. And I was listening to him speak, and the moderator asked me impromptu to come out on stage and share some of the ideas that I had spoken about with this group before. And so with no preparation whatsoever, I walked out and basically I gave an elevator pitch. I gave some ideas, and I told a story, and I started off with this idea that none of us is as smart as all of us. And it was a call for inclusion. It was a call for listening. It was a call for leadership to see how to harness the power inside of the people in the organization. And this CEO heard me speak. And when I finished, he said, "That's what I want. I want what you've got." And I thought, what have I got? I'm vaccinated. What have I got here? I didn't know where he was going with that. But he said, "I want what you've got, and I need you to come to London and coach my team, because we're doing an event in front of the city." I go, What do you mean the city? He goes, "Well, in London, like we call it Wall Street or the street. That's the investment community in the US. In London, the investment community is called the city." So he says, "We're doing an event for the city, and I need you to coach my executive team, and I'd like you to close out the event with closing remarks in front of this audience in the UK." And he didn't stop there. He said, "We're also doing an event in Malta. And our topic in Malta, which is an island off the coast of Italy in the Mediterranean Sea, by the way." So he said, "We're doing an event in Malta, and we're doing an event around storytelling. And I want you to come and help our executive team." And by the way, the company has 7,500 employees, and there were probably 300 people in the room, I'm guessing, 250, 300. So that I had the opportunity to go not only and share ideas in a keynote, but then to do an interactive workshop to help people not only to learn about and understand storytelling, but to actually practice it, to put ideas on their feet. And it was really a message of empowerment, because they got to experience not only what storytelling is, but what it can do. And that was one of the most phenomenal experiences for me. And the way that it ends is their stock price is doing very, very well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, some meeting pearls from what he just said. The fact that you do know how to present to an audience and tell a story, those were opportunities that would never have happened if you were shy, if you couldn't step up and speak. And so I love it that you mastered the art of speaking. Have you always known how to speak?
Well, the first time I spoke in front of an audience was at my 8th grade graduation. And I wasn't valedictorian in my class or anything like that. And they tapped me on the shoulder and they said, "Chris, we need you to give the speech." And I thought, what are you thinking? Why me? And that hasn't been the first time I've said that in my career. Why me? But what turned out as I showed up for that event was nothing short of amazing. And that's not to say that I am amazing, but I felt the connection with the audience. And it's that connection that drives me to go beyond just sort of the performer's mindset, to step into a service mindset.
Yes.
And over the evolution of my career, that is what it has turned out to be, not just memorizing words and sharing ideas, but turning stories into service. And that's where the real power and the impact is. And people love a good story, but especially a story that they can take something from. That's not, we're not, preaching or saying, don't do this, don't do that. Oof. But if you can share your experiences and people can observe those experiences, they can create new results for themselves. And seeing people create those results has been the most satisfying thing in my career, to help my clients and to see that service come to life.
I love it. Chris, we're almost out of time, so I wanted to give you a chance to kind of describe for the viewer, how do you know when you need to bring in a guy like Chris?
When there's something in your life that you want, but for whatever reason, it hasn't shown up yet. And you may be thinking, well, I need a better golf swing. Well, that will be an opportunity to reach out to a coach, perhaps. But if you have frustrations in your career and in your business, and if you're wondering, as a business leader, how do you create a culture that's easier, where engagement is easier, where drama can disappear, and you can get down to the tasks that really matter? That is really the premise and the promise of easier from a company perspective, and certainly from an individual perspective. If you've got frustrations and difficulty, again, something that you want in your life, but for whatever reason, it hasn't shown up yet. And if you're interested in finding a way to get out of your own way, that's where I can help.
Outstanding. What a great segment. We could talk all day. We're going to end with your website, which is westfallonline.com. Chris Westfall, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
That's it for now.